How are you doing today, Aditi?
I'm not quite sure what I'm saving you for.
There she is.
Oh, shut up, Mike.
Feel free to let me know. What's the saving?
We said to start the show that there's no better person to talk about a single matchup than you to talk about the Steelers and the Browns. That's a fact.
I appreciate that. Okay,
I mean, let's face it, you know these teams intimately. You know them very well.
That's the only thing we've agreed on since 11:02.
That's right. Well, Jay's lost his mind today.
Yeah, so Aditi, I'll let you pile on too because I love that. I said that this is the biggest NFL game of Deshaun Watson's career. And obviously I was just absolutely excoriated by Bull, who said those wild card playoff games that he played in with Houston were massive.
And he played in the divisional round playoff game, too.
You're leading the witness.
Yeah, but how many, honestly, I'm with Jay on this one. How many, I cannot
So it's not every other person on the globe.
There's two of you that are crazy.
How many times have you heard a coach say, the biggest game is the next game? So to some degree...
Well, then every quarterback's biggest game of their career is the next game, then.
So then,
well, you know what? Deshaun Watson is in step number 2. Deshaun Watson is in stage number 2 right now of his career. Chapter 2, chapter, whatever you want to call it. Anything that happened in the past is the past. It's over. It's long. It's done. Nobody remembers any of that, Adam. All anybody remembers right now about Deshaun Watson is the baggage from last year, is the accusations, is the punishment. That's what people think of when they think of Deshaun Watson before this moment right now. I don't even think anybody remembers his college days. I don't know if anybody remembers how many votes he got for the Heisman. People remember all of the yucky stuff. There's got to be a better way to say that. Sorry. But all of that. And now it's, what is he doing today now? So I think Jay's making a really, really good point. This is a national stage. This is his first primetime game, and this is his first national stage since all of that and since he's come back, right? Yeah. He's the one that's laid out. There are no more excuses. There's no long layoff. There's no weird sharing of time. There's no rustiness. This is an offense that has been built entirely around what he does well. This is an offense that he has his fingers in formulating just alongside his offensive coordinator and his head coach. He's got the best running back in the game. I said it. Sorry. He's the best running back in the game. He's got one of the best offensive lines. I mean, come on. Even this terrible thing that happened to Jack Conklin, and look at who's going in there. I devastated Pittsburgh radio yesterday when they were like, okay, so TJ Watt's going to have his way with this rookie, right? And I said, I'm sorry. No, that's not how it's going to go down. But okay, he's got this great offensive line. He's got all these weapons at receiver. He's got some great tight ends. He's got a tremendous running back. He's got an offense built around him. He's in prime time against what's supposed to be their biggest rival. Yeah, it's the biggest stage he's been on up until now, basically.
As a Brown.
As a Brown, for sure, yes. And what I'm saying is,
it's not the biggest stage he's been on the NFL, but I'll let it go for now. You and Jay must have smoked a doobie together.
Somebody tell Patrick Mahomes.
I don't know about her. I don't smoke.
Somebody tell Patrick Mahomes those Super Bowls don't count.
They don't count.
This week's game against Jacksonville is the most important game he's ever played in.
Deshaun wasn't in a Super Bowl. Come
on. Thank you.
Like, that's
but you're trying to say a Week 2 game is more important than a playoff game. It's insanity.
The next game is the best game. Joe Burrow's terrible.
Right now, for who he is right now,
Aditi's looking at everything
he's trying to make of his career.
That was not your point.
Here's absolutely my point.
When Deshaun Watson's career is over, nobody's going to go back and say, "Oh, remember that playoff game he played in 2018?"
No one's saying
that.
No
one's going to talk about this Monday night game.
Well, they're going to talk about the Monday night game against the
maybe not, or maybe they will.
The
maybe
Steelers team with the most overrated second-year quarterback in the history of the sport.
Wow, that's
maybe. Oh my gosh! So it's like just taking shots every which way right now, aren't you?
Huh?
Now poor Kenny Pickett is catching fire.
Kenny Pickett.
Bull woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
Aditi, is it my fault that Kenny Pickett's not that good at football? Is it my fault?
Oh, please. You know what? What? I think that's an unfair assessment. I don't think that's a fact.
Well, Jay just spent an hour talking about his last 6 games. Kenny Pickett's last 6 games. He hasn't played well.
An hour?
Do you know who his offensive coordinator is? And do you know the offense that he's running?
Oh, excuses. Those are Browns level excuses right there. Then why'd they not fire him if he's such an idiot?
Browns level excuses.
Matt Canada.
Because that's not in Mike Tomlin's hands. Because Art Rooney is not paying somebody who is not working for him. Because Art Rooney likes people to finish their contracts.
Unlike Jimmy Haslam, who at one time was paying 6 different head coaches.
Hey, I'll give him credit for that. I mean, Jimmy Haslam
is that a
buffoon,
true story?
But,
is that
at least
really
he's
true?
not afraid to fire a coach.
Yeah, look it up.
Well,
It's painful, but look it up.
Let me ask you a football question. We ask you a football question.
G.
Hayward.
Always count on G to bring it back.
Hayward to me, TJ Watt gets a lot of the, I guess, accolades. He gets the sacks. But I got a lot of respect for Hayward and what he brings to the table. Him not being there in this game, how badly does that hurt them? Because you just said Nick Chubb's the best running back. I thought Nick Chubb saved the Browns last game by being able to run the ball in the rain. How does that affect the Steelers having Hayward out the middle of that lineup?
It's beyond significant. Cam likes to tease me when I say that the Steelers defense has 2 game breakers in TJ Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick, because he's like, hey, what am I? And he's got a fair point, because if you look at the film of last year, the year before, Cam Hayward regularly is drawing double teams, sometimes triple teams. And it's Cam clogging up all of that up front in the middle that lets TJ and Alex Highsmith have sort of a free lane and go where they're going. Beyond that, he's their veteran leader. He's the longstanding guy that's been there. He's the captain. He's all of those things. And he doesn't get the credit as much, but he does that dirty work. And it is a significant loss. Significant.
How much will TJ miss him?
I think TJ misses him a ton, because again, he takes attention. It's just like it's the same as a wide receiver who plays alongside another wide receiver who draws double coverage.
Right.
It's the other person getting attention that frees you up a little bit. Not that team, and look, I'm not saying that teams are not double teaming TJ or teams are not scheming for TJ or having to know where TJ is, but Cam takes something off his plate. Now it's an extra guy that has to focus on Cam that's going to be able to go and focus on TJ.
How is this game won when it's all over?
Play clean. I think that if the Browns play clean, if they don't have, is that what you were asking, or are you asking on either?
More than anything, and I should have been more specific. I'm looking at one unit against the other. Obviously, the team that doesn't turn it over and has the fewer penalties has a huge advantage, but. Will this be a matchup of the Browns' defensive front against the Steelers' offensive line? Where is this game?
Yeah, I think every game is won. I think every game is won at the line of scrimmage. I think that the Browns' defensive front is their strength right now. I think that that's one thing that you can rely on, that you don't have to sit here and say, okay, we need chemistry or we need time or we need to figure things out. They're ready to go. They're going. So they need to attack. We know that Bull doesn't love Kenny Pickett here. The Steelers' offensive line is still sort of in flux in that there are new pieces. And the Steelers had no run game last week. None. So you shut down the run, you get at the quarterback, you've won that game.
I've been hard on Kenny Pickett. He's got more time to prove what I don't see it, but he's got more time to prove it, obviously. But I will say this. We've seen enough of Najee Harris. I don't think he's a very good back. I think Jaylen Warren might be their better back if given more opportunity. Najee Harris, to me, is just a guy. Do you think he's better than that? Or because I haven't seen it. And unlike Pickett, he's played long enough to know, I think.
You know what? Najee Harris is a very, very, very nice man. He's a really nice man. I like him a lot. Have I seen Nick Chubb out of him yet? Have I seen Derrick Henry out of him yet? Have I seen Josh Jacobs out of him yet? Have I seen Saquon out of him yet? No, I have not. I think that 2 years ago he played behind one of the worst lines in football. He was hit behind the line of scrimmage more than anybody. I think that the start of last season, he didn't have a particularly great run game plan. That got better when the Steelers offensive line coach took over some of that. None of these things happen in a vacuum. It's hard for me. I don't want to denigrate a man who works really hard and gives everything to what he's doing. I hate this idea of calling someone a bad player. I don't know. There are a lot of other factors at play here. I'm very comfortable saying I don't think Najee Harris has fulfilled his potential yet, but I don't think that that's all on him. I think that everything he controls, he's been doing tremendously well. There are a lot of other factors at play here, though.
What in the world happened last week in that Niners game, and what's the feeling this week about this team?
Yeah, the Niners are ostensibly, Jason, a Super Bowl favorite.
Yes.
Like, aren't they supposed to be a Super Bowl contender? So let's be honest here. You're facing arguably the fastest, toughest, best defensive front. I mean, that's the fastest defensive front in football, right? And the way that they are playing, as dynamic as their offense is too, I mean, there's just not that same margin for error. So it's kind of like, right, I was on the sideline of the Ravens-Texans game, and the Ravens were sloppy. They had a bunch of penalties. They were definitely rusty. It was very clear that it was an offense that hadn't played together at all in the preseason. There were some things defensively that needed to be cleaned up. The Texans had a rookie quarterback convert 3 third-down conversions, make 3 third-down pass completions in 1 9-minute drive. The Ravens defense shouldn't be allowing that. But they played the Texans, who are much improved over a year ago, but are still the Texans. That's not a win like a win over the 49ers. Or that's not a competition the same as the 49ers. I would even argue that the 49ers are tougher than the Bengals with Joe Burrow not having played at all in the preseason. And I know Adam's going to tell me that he didn't do it with the appendicitis, and I know all of that, but it still was a gimpy leg a little bit, and so he didn't have the same flexibility and bleeding out of the pocket, doing things that he does as well. And yes, I know that Brock Purdy was coming off of an injury as well, but Brock Purdy isn't the 49ers' best player. Joe Burrow is. So it's not really an apples to apples.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I think what you said is very fair.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I think of the 3 AFC North teams, the 49ers were the toughest draw.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, I'm not ready to panic and say, oh my gosh, this is the end of the Steelers season, and they're just not, they have no potential, they're done and buried. I just think that they drew the toughest super, super, super tough opponent, and the toughest amongst the AFC North teams.
Aditi, I wouldn't go as far as to say this is Deshaun Watson's biggest game, but I will concede the fact that I believe this is the Cleveland Browns, one of their biggest games. I think some of the angst that you see and feel is the Cleveland Browns want to arrive, but to arrive, you have to beat the Giant. You got to slay the Giant. You got to go into Pittsburgh and do it. And so I think one of the things that we're saying is we're trying to live out our maturity a little bit, because we look at it, we got the Bengals, we got the Steelers, then we got the Ravens. And until you get past that gauntlet, each one of those teams is not going to give you any respect. They say, well, can you beat the Bengals? Can you beat the Steelers? I think a lot of people are either excited or nervous because this is a litmus test of what the Browns want to be. Do you get the sense that they're trying to, make themselves jump a couple notches in people's minds in terms of respect from the Browns locker room?
Gee, that's always the goal, right? But to your point, it's not just one litmus test. It's about stacking them now. When Cleveland came into Pittsburgh in the playoffs, beat Pittsburgh, that was huge. But then what's happened since? Mm-hmm. So it's not good enough to be a one-off. And the Browns have a tremendous record against the Bengals, and yet you still have Jamar Chase saying Cleveland is Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. True.
You're not getting that respect unless you are regularly beating your division foes. And I don't mean that the Browns right now need to go 2-0 against the Ravens, against the Bengals, and against the Steelers, and that's going to solve everything. I mean, the way that people talk, you never even know if that's going to solve anything. But you have to regularly not only be competitive, but get those wins and continue to stack them. And so when I say this is huge, it's huge right now because it's the next game on the schedule. It's your first chance to get a second big AFC North win in a row this year, right? Going to beating the Bengals and then going to Pittsburgh and beating the Steelers in primetime on the biggest stage, Monday Night Football. Those are 2 games in a row that are pretty significant if it can be done. And that helps sort of not only change the narrative, but guys, it also helps them. I mean, confidence begets confidence.
Yeah, and it rolls like a
Feel good,
snowball.
play good. Yeah, exactly. So,
Aditi,
you're going to feel better about yourselves. Go ahead.
You talk about narratives, and the narrative coming into the Cleveland-Cincinnati game, at least from the Bengals locker room, is Cleveland. And the Browns did what they needed to do to dispel that myth. Oddly enough, in week 2, they're out to dispel another myth, and that's Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. There's have already been this week a little more than I'm comfortable with throwing shovel on the Pittsburgh Steelers after one game, 30-7 loss. I think we tried to do that last year. They still finished 9-8. Mike Tomlin's record on Monday Night Football is 19-3. Mikey, what was the number? Their last 20 home games,
They're
20-0
on Monday Night Football.
Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. And I think that has to be, if there's one message that I hope is resonating in the Cleveland Browns locker room this week, I hope it's that.
There is nobody better with his back against the wall than Mike Tomlin. And I've said this for years. Mike Tomlin is not a great front runner. Mike Tomlin is not a great favorite. Mike Tomlin is tremendous when you are counting him out, when you are dismissing him. So when you say that you're uncomfortable with people burying the Steelers, you should be uncomfortable with the people burying the Steelers, because Mike Tomlin is magic when he gets to get his team to circle the wagons and say it's us against the world. Yeah, you know what? The Browns should be saying Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. And so we better be focused, dialed in, locked in, whatever it is you want to say. There should be no carryover. On the one hand, I'm telling you, there should be some confidence from the win over the Bengals, but there shouldn't be this massive confidence, let up contentment, because you're going to need to dial it up a different notch when you go into Pittsburgh on a Monday night. And again, the Bengals have been great. The Bengals have been the team of the division the last few years. The Bengals have been one of the elite teams of the conference, but it's still different when the Browns play the Steelers. It's a different rivalry. It's a different aura. It's a whole different ballgame.